This is a session about this topic, which is how structure aids culture in a misused, less huge, at an automotive giant. So I would like to, from the very beginning, explain the goal of this session. So the goal is that I want to share my experience with other people from other companies, so that not only those who work for other automotive giants, but also other companies, maybe huge ones, because that was quite huge, they would learn something and maybe had better chance, better prepared for endeavors like agile transformation, whatever it is, okay? So critical factors you need to pay attention to unfold the full potential of your organization. So this is what I will try to deliver today in this session to you. Of course, it is purely subjective because it will be based on my personal observations and consulting with other participants of the same agile journey. A couple of words about me. So this is me, just a head here, right? And as you can see, I really like white and orange, and here and there. I'm kind of 15 years ago with agile mindset, working with product groups, up to 1,000 plus people. My career started more than 20 years ago. It's mostly about software development, so whatever I can advise is mostly about software development. And the industries were, in my case, banking, fintech, car manufacturing, and digital. So actually, I did not put all the industries because I provide also consultancy to smallish companies in various industries. Formerly, I was at the beginning of my career a project manager, software developer, head of project management office, kind of PMP and Prince 2 and all this stuff. Currently, I am in Portugal. And, currently I'm in Poland, just to make sure that we understand that nothing is missing. But I live in Portugal, and I have some badges. Favorite ones are PSM3, because it was kind of a challenge. If you don't know, it's Scrum Master's badge from Scrum.org. And of course, the loveliest ones are from LeSS. All right. So first of all, I would like to take just 2 minutes of your attention, because I really want to say great thanks to people with whom I worked in this company that I'm going to talk about today. Because exactly people gave me a lot of opportunities to learn. So they were quite open to really share their opinions, their experiences, because the agile journey which I'm going to talk about did not start when I came to the company. It started kind of 1.5 years ago. And I learned a lot about the circumstances which led to this situation in the company that I could observe myself. Also, this is not only about other agile coaches or Scrum Masters, but also a lot of developers and even managers. So I really appreciate their openness and straightforwardness, I would say. Okay. Before we really go into it, I really need to understand the audience, because it will be hugely about less and less huge. So can you please raise a hand who knows LeSS frameworks well enough, let's say, kind of? Oh, wow, cool. All right. Please keep your hands. It's physical exercise. Just give me a sec. And now, leave hand raised if you know less huge framework. Okay, thank you very much. Now this is done. Yes. Just subjectively. So you think that you know it, okay? Because I will use some terms and I need to understand how far should I explain them. So just in general, question to the audience. Is it less or less huge? Less, and this one respectively less huge. Just to make sure that we understand, I'm not going to speak about this, because this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 kind of 10 of teams. there was much more. Okay, so I would multiply it by 10 or even more. I don't remember how many there was. Now, another question to the audience. Culture follows structure. Who really knows this, what it means and what it is? All right. And now you know who is the author of this? You please stay silent. Any other? Who is the author of this? Yeah, okay. You can find them in the room next. So this is Craig Larman, and this is one of the Larman's laws of organizational behavior. Why I put it right here? Because all my observations, they predominantly they are about confirming this law. Yeah. So you will see. I hope that you will see it through the whole presentation. I put it just in different words, that structure is culture. So the inspiration for this statement came from another well-known saying normally attributed to Peter Drucker, which is culture eats strategy for breakfast, if you know, right? So which means that without proper culture, you cannot really achieve what you want with your structure. But here I put it even further based on this culture follows structure, because without proper structure, you cannot have that proper culture. And in this session, as I said, we are going to look at how structure ate culture, or how culture followed this structure. Now speaking about the Automotive Giant. As you can see, unfortunately, it will be a little bit unclear for you, because I cannot make it transparent what exactly was the company. Maybe I can say that it was a German company, okay? Okay, fine. But you know, in Germany we have at least some number of giants. And I will call this company XYZ. I wanted to call this company ABC or even BCD, but I thought that XYZ is better. Okay. Yeah, this is just an image. This is not the company, of course. We did not reach that state of maturity in that company. But we are speaking about autonomous driving department. And I must say this is really rocket science. So when I started my coaching kind of 15, 13 years ago, I usually use this, hey guys, what are you speaking about? This is not a rocket science. So I used this saying for quite a long time. So when I came there, I understood that there's a place where this is really rocket science. I'm not speaking about the organization, of course. I'm speaking about the stuff that they produce there, right? This is just the future for us, for our living, maybe in several years or maybe even further. Less Huge was launched in this department, so I'm going to speak only about this specific department of autonomous driving of this XYZ group, okay? So don't think, please, this is important, that XYZ is the same as this specific department. They were completely different. Well, with some similarities for sure, and you will see it there later. But we are speaking about this department, and it was less huge only in this department, starting at 2017. My observations covered from middle of 19 till the end of 20, so 1.5 years. And at that moment, I did not count people, of course, but I know for sure that there was somewhere in between 800 and 1,200, something like that. And this number, of course, included both internal and external people, but important point that external people worked kind of in the same product group, so they were kind of integrated all together. So there were teams of externals, internals, and they worked from the same kind of backlog. Yeah, I will try to use less kind of, because it's natural. It was not that way strictly going, but kind of, unfortunately. Okay, So I must say that there is already another case study that you can find on the LeSS website. Yet my observation is a little bit different because, first of all, I covered by my observations 18 months of later period. Different requirement areas. Here I need to clarify this point, and maybe you cannot find this in this case study that I'm speaking about. This department produced, as I mentioned at the beginning, the autonomous driving, yeah, as a sort of a lot of features that you can actually buy when you buy a car, yeah. Yet, out of all these people, out of all these 1,000 plus people, quite a big part worked not directly on these features, but on another very important stuff which was needed for other people who produced those features. So just to put it simple, they worked on the simulation, because it's just impossible, you know, to each time when you change something in your I don't know, autonomous driving features and try it out on the road and do it for many hours. Well, anyways it's needed, but you cannot do it each time when you change something. So instead of that, there's a trick, and this trick is, okay, we have already some data from the roads, so we can simulate and thereby reduce the risk. So each time when we deliver some update, yeah, then we first try it on simulation, and maybe in several iterations we try it then on the real car, on the real road. Okay, so the part of this department was, I call it internal product, just for the sake of simplicity. So it's not that it was called this way in the company. But there was clear difference, because I had experience of working in both main product and internal product. And despite the fact that all these people worked at the same department, quite big difference was noticed by me in terms of behaviors of people, management attitude, and all the circumstances coming from there. Yes, of course, I'm a different person, so I have a different mental model, different background, etc. So I made probably different conclusions. Now, why I call this session something about misused LeSS? Just to put it straightforward right from the beginning. First, you know what this picture explains, right? So LeSS shows this in one picture, the whole LeSS idea. Which is based on some principles. Oh, okay, I have laser. Based on some principles here in the core, the framework is built. Actually, two frameworks: less simple, and less huge. And there are some guides about quite different aspects, including adoption and some practical guides. And experiments, so a lot of experiments. So each company actually is experimenting each time. So speaking about all of this, my observations tell me clearly, I tried to put it as smooth as possible, not straightforward. Yeah, LeSS guides were partially followed to some extent. Okay, LeSS rules partially followed, and even LeSS principles partially followed. So what? Good? So, why good? Look. Who cares when it works better for the company, right? Well, honestly, if it really, I'm trying to put myself on the place of a CEO or somebody who really cares about the business side of all of this. If it really works, less, schmess, safe, crave, whatever, right? So it doesn't matter, because it works for me, for my company. It gets it to the better level. But my point of this presentation is, let's explore. Was it really better? Okay? And speaking about better, I want to, if someone was on my previous session yesterday, I mentioned that in system thinking, there is no good or bad, yeah? Because system is works in another way. It's always good for something, for one purpose, and simultaneously it can be bad for another purpose. So it must be either consistent or inconsistent with some specific optimization goal. Without the optimization goal, you just cannot say whether it is kind of bad or good. And this is why I personally suggest using consistent or inconsistent. So this department had its own optimization goals, and this is quite a rare case, I must admit. So yesterday in the session, I delivered the point about the optimization goals, and the first point was that mostly companies don't have this thing. They don't know what they want to optimize for. But this department had this, and that was one of the selling points for me personally when I came to the company, because I thought, wow, this company really makes sense to look at because they understand where they want to go. These are the optimization goals. Ability to work on and deliver the highest business value. Okay. Ability to learn faster than competitors. Great. And easily adaptable organization to ensure first two. So these optimization goals were set before the launch of the first requirement area. It was set by the upper management who actually was in charge for all this department. For the sake of this presentation, I will call all of these three adaptability for value maximization. Adaptability is here, value maximization is here. This one I just do not mention here because without fast learning you cannot ensure this adaptability. But anyways, we will return to all of these three optimization goals at the end because we will need to explore whether actually this setup in the company helped them to work in this direction, okay? But for the short, to make it short, I will keep this optimization goal. Now, what is it that all companies dream about? Okay, money, maybe a little bit more ambitious. What amount of money?
The biggest amount.
Biggest or the biggest possible ever. I put it a little bit differently. Absolute power in terms of the value generation. Because for one company it can be money right now. For others it's just we want the whole market to be under our feet, etc. So the absolute power. By the way, do we have anyone not familiar with Marvel universe? Because I will use these pictures quite intensely. Just to explain that this is the kind of, they can do whatever. Yeah, they have absolute power. They can create worlds, destroy worlds, whatever. So every company actually dreams about these sort of absolute capabilities. Okay, so let's put them on the top. And this is the scale of adaptability for value maximization. Well, in this case, on the top of the scale, and this is absolute limit, because this is the absolute capability of value maximization through adaptiveness, if I may put it this way. And somewhere here, we can find probably command and control approaches normally adopted by companies and for sure adopted by car manufacturers. I'm not saying that this is bad or good. And even more, I'm not that much familiar with producing the cars itself, and maybe even it's better than agile because this is another story. But we are speaking about autonomous driving, okay? A little bit different. So this is the point where the department was before the launch of LeSS, before August 2017. I put it definitely below the absolute because you can imagine, okay. And the question now, where was this department in its journey of adopting LeSS? Was it closer to absolute, or maybe closer to the beginning, maybe no change, or maybe somewhere in between, okay? when I started analyzing the situation, when I came and started speaking to people, I realized that as my previous experiences showed me, always you have some constraints which do not allow you to really have this absolute reachable. Because first of all, yes, external factors, market, competitors, whatever. And also other factors which just exist by the point when you start your agile transformation or less adoption, whatever you start. So these are factors that you cannot change just because the external factors you cannot change unless you are already this eternal guy. And these factors, they just exist in the past, so you can change them right now again, right? So this is your starting point. But here, you can have your full potential. So if you really pay enough attention and capable of overcoming all the other obstacles and the difficulties, then you can reach this full potential. And just to explain what is this fancy guy, this is Thanos with a great power. So it was quite close to the absolute power, but yeah, a little bit not that far. So full potential is actually more pragmatic, yet a dream of every company, yeah? Because, yeah, well, we understand that we are all people, we have our flaws, and we all together are the company, so our company has flaws in their ways of working, whatever, but we have the full potential. Can we reach it? Yes, we can reach, and this specific company could reach it, I mean the department, of course, could reach it, should they understand that they have some factors holding them down from their full potential. And of course, in this session, I will speak about these factors. As a state of 2019, when I came, yeah, again, to explain, sorry for this, yeah, I did not imagine that people don't know Marvel. So, so this guy is much less powerful than this guy, okay? Ah, okay. So just. Okay, cool. Yeah, well, look, I intentionally put the Spider-Man with all this equipment, etc., because I believe that he is quite capable. You know, he can make some good kicks, etc. So far from the full potential, far from Thanos, yet pretty much capable. So I must admit that I noticed so amazing effects of really adopting a new mindset and, well, less, of course. I will give some examples. So first of all, at some point of time, the whole department, all these 1,000 plus people had to go through the restructuring because they decided to change their strategy, and therefore they wanted to, of course, optimize their structure. So what happened? Just sort of one sprint, yeah, and the new structure is in place, and people are not like, oh my God, what is this? What should I do? Yes, of course, they could not deliver with the same pace as before, but they still could start delivering almost from the beginning, you know. So this showed me amazing opportunity for the companies to be really adaptive on that huge scale. Just again, 1,000 plus people restructuring within one sprint, which is 2 weeks, and almost uninterrupted delivery, you know? So it's great because you do not lose your money while these people just start working from the scratch. Another aspect, on a lower level, I noticed that some teams tried to expand their capability to deliver in terms of looking broader than they used to look, yeah? Just maybe a little explanation is needed here. In LeSS, teams are suggested to be feature teams. So it means that each team is expected to deliver to the customer some value, yeah? Some customer value to be delivered, and therefore do whatever is needed, so including all this stuff. working on any components and doing all these functions. When you actually try to adopt less, you can find out that people tend to go for narrower focus. Yeah? If they cannot go for narrow focus in terms of their function, then at least they tend to narrow down the focus, speaking about the part of product that you can work on. So out of the scope that was allocated on one requirement area within this huge, one team could try to take as narrow part as possible so that they could focus, you know. This is kind of natural desire of people. And despite this fact, some teams really realized that if they go into this over-specialization, as it is called in LeSS, then the whole requirement area loses the opportunity, because sometimes this area that they specialize in is not that much important compared to other sub-areas, if you want to put it this way. And they started really trying to learn wider, and this way they could really help other teams kind of taking the items that other teams normally would take. If those items were of higher priority than the items these teams work normally on, okay? I'm not sure, is it clear enough for everyone, what I'm trying to explain? Okay, so to me personally, it showed signs of really adaptiveness for requirement areas, because in this case, whatever happens, priorities change, and requirement area can adapt its forces in order to utilize the opportunity. And the same, I noticed even in people. I had an amazing example, for me personally amazing, because I could imagine this to happen with other functions, but with designers. Look, so what happened? There was a UI UX designer, quite experienced with some background in development, like C++ and all this stuff, you know. Who knows what is C++, can imagine how far it's from UI UX. So, at some point he discovered that there's nothing that much important compared to other development stuff in the team, you know. So his skills, his core skills, if I put it this way, in the design, they were not in that much demand, and he could not really contribute that much to the team success. So he expressed his desire to really cover the gap existed, because he had some experience, but it was not enough to start right away. And he asked to go for paired programming with developers, and little by little he started even contributing with some simple task, of course, under supervision. So I'm trying to say that this sign was to me amazing, because even so far I did not have other experiences with exactly UI UX designers going into development, but maybe this is just my experience. So for me personally, this is about the team adaptiveness. All right. Unfortunately, these are the very rare cases. These were very rare cases, and their number reduced with time. So this is what I am explaining is about the point of time when I started at the middle of 2019. And at the end of my observations, well, look, once more. If you look at, this is still Spider-Man, of course, if the picture is very small, but it's really still the Spider-Man. So on a different level of competition, he can win, of course, but there's a difference. Difference is not only in this equipment, but also in the way how he uses his capabilities. And there was something which happened during this period from the middle 2019 until the end of 2020 that we will explore, and also explore what was the state at the end. Okay? So this is what we are going to do in this session. Let's do it. First, the term upper management. I will use it if you use it differently, okay? For me personally, it's head of department and those managers closest to this head of department who were authorized to manage the organizational structure. And by the organizational structure, I mean exactly not only the org chart, but also roles, responsibilities, policies, standards, whatever is concerned the organizational structure. Most upper managers had 10 plus years at this group. And I must say this is amazing because I personally, should I be again CEO of some corporation, I would love to have people who really that much deep and understand the all the levels of what's happening inside my organization. Also, there was excellent fit for the traditional corporate culture. Well, I'm not going to discuss good or bad corporate culture they had, but the point is that it worked, okay? And why this is important? Because you need to effectively communicate and build network within the wider organization for the sake of achieving something within your department, of course. On the other hand, these managers had a lack of experience in agile product development, okay? Quite huge lack, just to put it straightforward. Or even working anyhow else but in the command and control mode. Also, there was a lack of experience in managing organizations based on self-managing teams. I specifically put here this, not including it into the agile product development because unfortunately when you speak to people, yeah, we do agile and blah, 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 and do you have self-managing teams? Yes, of course, but this is not self-managing teams. So this is what I'm putting here, that real self-management was quite unknown by the upper management. Well, I'm not speaking about the term, but what it is actually. So this was exactly the factor that set these basis because it existed before the start of the last adoption. They could not change it in the past. Of course, they could change it in the future. And this is what we are talking now about. LeSS recommends to ensure that there are 3 levels of coaching, including this one. A coach works with the management to improve the organization and its structure. Organizational coaching, I will use this another term. This is the organizational coaching provided exactly for the upper management, those who manage structure. And it includes, well, this is, I'm explaining my term, okay? It includes teaching and mentoring so that upper management could cover their knowledge and maybe experience gaps. Mirror holding, because it's quite hard to look at some stuff that you are accustomed to look from one perspective, look at it from the perspective of another person, especially if this another person has completely different mindset and mental model. And this mirror holding is exactly this opportunity to show how it looks from the other perspective, and maybe from the perspective of the person with truly agile mindset. Professional coaching, well, it means simply asking questions and directing the thinking process of people, assuming that people have necessary knowledge and skills. Facilitation of discussions and decision making. Well, even if we cover all of these 3 above, without that, it would be really a big difference, big lack, because imagine again, this size, yeah? 1,000 plus people. So, managers, developers, scrum masters, area product owners, product owner. Now, HR practices, communications with outer worlds, communications with other departments. This organization is quite complex by its existence, I would say, yeah? Just because of having all these aspects must have inside. Even more, if you look at the organization, how it is set up, even if you want to simplify it. And the LeSS is about simplifying, reducing the complexity. Before simplifying, you need to really understand what it is right now. But that requires really consideration of really complex systems. It's impossible to do without the really good facilitation of discussions. Even, well, I think that I'm not a very, very junior kind of in system thinking. I have some knowledge, but even when I start doing this with others, it's quite hard for me because I'm too much in the process, you know. So without somebody else facilitating this process, I'm losing a bit. And as you probably remember, managers did not have even that, even a little understanding how they can learn their complex systems. And now let's see what it was in terms of organizational coaching for this department. First year, from the beginning in August 17, approximately until the August 19, there was one less coach worked with upper management. Yet, in parallel, he provided also coaching to middle management and area product owners. So yeah, this was the intention. So the amount of effort that this person could provide to the upper management is respectively lower than the full capacity. Since August 2018, there was no coaching provided to upper management. Yeah, there was some coaching provided to middle and line management. There were sort of 17 or 18 coaches involved, and that was great because Scrum Masters could learn, developers could learn, but unfortunately not upper managers. And there was no organizational coaching provided from Scrum Masters during the entire journey. So, from my perspective, this factor was one of the dominating out of those because, well, and why you will see in this presentation. Okay, so lack of organizational coaching for upper management. These are principles of LeSS, but I would say that they are quite important not for LeSS only, for any company. Without systems thinking, you cannot understand your company, your system. Without queuing theory, even in production, it's quite hard to optimize your queues. Reminder, right? So we already discussed that there was a lack of previous relevant experience of upper management, and there was lack of organizational coaching for upper management. As a result, there was lack of visualization of management by management while considering dynamics in their own company. And quick fixing was the way to go. Quick fixing, of course, for symptoms, not the root causes, and mostly for local concerns. Because, yeah, if you are unable to understand and comprehend the whole system, what you can do? You can look at what you can grasp, and you can grasp only the local concern. What you can see right now, here you go and fix. And mostly you go and fix it quickly without even thinking how it will affect the whole system, again, because you're not considering the whole system. Yeah? On the other hand, lack of recognition of the negative implications of queues. So I'm not saying that people did not know. Most of managers came through CLP, and even maybe a couple of hours after CLP, I was not there, but I'm imagining, because I know other companies after CLP, they would be really in this impression that yes, this is bad, but deeper understanding probably was missing. And the most important, deeper understanding based on really examples from your own company, that was missing. Okay, so I don't know, is it clear for for you people, please? What is written there? Lack of practicing system thinking and queuing theory. So I will give advice right away from here. So please pay attention in your companies to, and once more, this is not only about LeSS companies or whatever agile companies, any companies. Pay attention to understanding that you have a system in your organization, and if you have any type of producing something, then pay attention to query theory. Again, the same factors that we spoke about at the beginning. Because of that, of course, there was lack of experience or expertise, let's put it this way, in managing the organizational design for agile companies. Yeah, well, look, consulting quite many smaller and mid-sized companies, I understand that this is kind of a pain of many companies because managers are normally taught about how to manage people, etc. But there's a big lack in really educating people about how to manage their organizations instead of people, how to manage this organizational design. And there was lack of this expertise too. Lack of consideration of results of experiments about organizational design in other companies. I would say that even if I don't know from the beginning what it is, how to deal with this organizational design, but I have access to knowledge already collected from many other companies, but also if I have capability to distinguish, what is like critically thinking about this, what is really reliable, where should I think more, where should I connect with these people and ask them more, then I would probably have much more chances to succeed. But yeah, here no thanks, we are busy. So, lack of expertise in organizational design for agile companies. All right, so if you remember, I don't know, but this is how LeSS suggests to organize company for LeSS adoption. It's quite plain structure, you see, right? So you have one kind of official manager and teams reporting directly to the manager within their kind of locations maybe. But anyways, this is plain. Now, this is what was envisioned by this department at the beginning. So this is how they probably started. I was not there. I collected this from many people. So this was the idea. Essentially, well, yeah, I would say that this is quite not that bad, yeah, because you have people reporting to only one layer of managers before those report to a single common manager at the top, right? Yeah, maybe not that good for developers because here we have 3 levels of managers. But anyways, just let me show you further. Yeah, before we proceed, the numbers of people are incorrect, of course, because this is not 1,000. I would not be able to show you 1,000 people here. Because of, again, lacking the understanding what it leads to, maybe, and without respective organizational coaching, management was just deprived of opportunity to comprehend this. Okay? So this is the state as of 2020 end. Something is missing, just give me a sec. Yeah, there was XYZ group on the top, and there was even another department. Yeah, now complete. So, so first, of course, you can see the difference in terms of complexity, right? Because, yeah, well, amazing examples like this existed. Yeah, nice, very nice. In other departments, C-level here, so these people were not part of LeSS at all, so they were not even taught about that. So, but look, this is not what I'm speaking about in this specific factor that I want to consider here. I'm speaking about the fact that there were 5 steps of management. Okay, let me show again. So here are Scrum Masters. Yeah? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 steps you need to make until you reach the head of the department. However, if you really want to change something related to both these departments, then you need to another layer. Well, this is like this, even not Thanos, but it's a cosmos, of course. Okay, 5 levels to reach the head of department, plus 1 level if you want to reach the really decision maker. And additional factors. First of all, I noticed that in some countries this is kind of a norm, and I appreciate that, so I'm just putting this as a fact, okay? That it was forbidden to go further than your manager without his or her approval. If your manager disagrees with your point that it is that much important, then your idea will not go anywhere further. And most likely, even if the manager agrees with the importance of this point, your manager most likely will go themselves. Any ideas why? Maybe. I did not think this way, but maybe. Other ideas?
More power if it comes from someone higher in the hierarchy because your voice isn't as important.
Yeah, maybe. Okay. Thank you. You give me a new ideas.
Explain it in the right way.
Okay. Good point also, yeah. In the right way. Okay, let's remember this.
Can I be really skeptical also? Somebody wants to brag with some good idea from someone else.
Okay, cool. I see you know the German corporate cultures. Okay, now, so let's recall that there is lack of practice. I did not say you, yeah? So do you know the go-see practice? Go-see is essentially that whatever is the high management, you want to really know what happens in the trench, in the very, very bottom of your organizational structure. And instead of asking your managers who will ask their managers who will ask, and many times this way, instead of you just go and see. Simple as this. It's always, well, you can look at it at like you have people who actually do the work and you just observe it. Not the way that big number of managers go in together with you and all do all the best from their side so that you could see that how well it is there, right? No, you're just taking hoodie and sneaking into this and looking what actually happens. So you're learning the real stuff. This is go-see. There was lack of practicing go-see. What it means? Feedback that upper management could collect from this very bottom of the organizational structure went through the management structure. And again, this is 5-6 steps of information handover. Now, just a simple explanation. I hope that it is simple. What is the information handover with 5-6 steps? I put 5 steps, I believe. Okay. So imagine that here is the Scrum Master, yeah? And he or she sees that there is a lion really running into us. I mean, something really bad happening. Already happened. And this is the upper manager, department head, for instance. And this is the chain of information handover. First of all, we should not ignore the fact that always, I mean it, always, even when I now deliver my ideas, my thoughts to you, this is already information handover. And each step is connected to the fact that I put it through my, brain stuff and produce some words. You get these words and you interpret these words. So each step is connected to a little bit, change of the real meaning. So for sure, what you get right now is not exactly 100% what I'm trying to deliver. But now put it into the 5 steps. Lion becomes this kitty. Another point, go, no-go decision making at each step. Yeah. So okay, my manager decides that okay, let's do it. And no, then back. Yeah. Sometimes just no signal happens. And finally, let's be honest. Managers do not have that much expertise to explain this line, because this line is from, simply saying, from agile world. Yeah, it's connected to some explanation, what it is, what are the consequences, maybe even a system modeling, something like that. And you said that to explaining.
Explain it right way.
Yes, right way, absolutely. So they try to explain it right way in order for their managers to probably, let's imagine, to buy the idea, and maybe to really recognize that this manager caught this idea from workers, or maybe something else. But the explain it the right way when you don't have expertise, it's just impossible. Yeah. So the right way is always in relation to something. And if you put the right way is to explain that that is a lion, then it was just impossible because of the lack of expertise of those people in this chain. In the absence of well done go see by upper management, the deeper is the management structure, the more severe are the consequences for the feedback loop. Now, question to audience. What do you think? Is it important to have a high quality feedback loop from the very, very bottom of your system to the upper level where this system is managed? What do you think? Crucial, absolutely. So the quality of feedback loop is crucial. All right. I will not repeat those factors from the top. Yes?
Can I ask a question?
Yes, please.
How about the blaming culture? Because when we were talking about the rotation of the information through the structure up, so the lion is transforming into the cat. Also, I believe there's maybe some problem with the blaming culture. So the middle management is trying to control the information to avoid their blaming for something by the upper management.
Yeah, it.
It depends much on the actual culture of the company. Is it a blame?
It could be. It could be. I tried to a little bit not touch the culture itself, because we would have another session for a couple of days, and I believe that everyone could contribute into this. So yes, of course, there could be anything. Individual interests, first of all, right? Cultural aspects dominating over the interest to achieve some kind of common goal, right? Yes, yeah, I think that, yes. But I don't know, because I did not speak to these people. I did not have access to these people, unfortunately. Okay. So now let's speak about the choosing product owner. And just to explain, I will not repeat these factors that I put normally at the top, because they just exist already. So let's just remember them. Choosing the product owner. Okay, so the type of organization was product development for external customers or a market. So this is taken from Les. So there are 3 types of organizations, and Les has some advice about how you can approach this task of choosing a product owner, from where. And what is actually the advice with respect to this type of organization? That for the product owner role, Les recommends a person in the business unit that's driving the initiative. So this is the product owner in the product management, marketing, or whatever it is, who actually drives this endeavor where the developers and all other people within the product group work. Yeah? So this person manages the product backlog, and here are these external customers. So speaking about XYZ group, the customers would be all we, because we all use cars, maybe not that much expensive, but anyways. And here the product management actually existed. And it was not in the autonomous driving department. The reality of XYZ was that there was a business, I call it business department, okay? So it was called differently, but for the sake of understanding, there was one department that was accountable for getting the results of autonomous driving and embed it into the car, and so that the car could be sold. Okay, so what happened here is that the ADD got the product owner from inside the ADD, the autonomous driving department. And it led to the following consequence, that between the business department and the autonomous driving department, there was a contract, sort of. So by the deadline, there was expected that a specific, of course, high level, but scope is delivered. Of course, lack of empowerment of product owner led to pressure to deliver a fixed scope to the deadline. Yet, of course, on a high level, should it be in detailed level, there would not be even possibility to speak about any agile, whatever. But on the high level, this existed, and focus turned more and more towards velocity over value.
Sorry, it means that it was project manager, not the product owner.
Thank you for putting it this way. Well, yeah, this is just a term, yet even not a project manager, I would say. Well, yeah, if you have the sponsor of the project here, and here is the project manager who actually just delivers according to the contract, then sort of yes. But still, I would say that normally the traditional project management is understood by waterfall approach. There was no waterfall, at least to that extent, okay? I will not touch this, so read my case study in a couple of years, then you will learn it. Yeah, good point. Okay, so product owner was within the ADD department, and there was more and more focus on velocity over value. But again, important, why I don't put it exactly this way, because on the high level, in details, it was still some flexibility, okay? So it allowed them to really explore the opportunity to be agile instead of just calling it agile.
Can I have a question?
Yes.
What about the customers in this?
Yeah, well, practically speaking, in this case, the customer is here, right? Because they consume the results of the work of these guys.
That's more internal in the company, but not the
There's another option, by the way, another option recommended by LeSS. If you have a company and within the company you produce a product for internal customers, they also have a recommendation for that. Yet, even in that case, it is recommended that you would take the product owner from that side which actually consumes, because it's, well, ideally you would take the product owner from here, like combining the minds of all your real customers, and it would be your product owner, but it's just impossible, at least now, maybe in future. So, but when you work on the internal product, it's even simpler. So whatever way the company would go, truly understanding the recommendations, they would finish with the product owner here. Well, this is my assumption. But yes, the fact that it was here, and these are the consequences as I observed them. Okay. Now, optimization goals of the department, as I said, were set before even the start of LeSS. As a reality of the period of my observation, there was untouchable status quo that the organization goals are not prioritized. So they kind of exist, but they are not prioritized, you know, yet not officially abandoned. So they exist. So once more, if you later on watch my session from yesterday, I'm speaking about optimization goals and the existence of optimization goals, but those optimization goals are not promoted respectively within the organization. From my perspective, one of the mutagens of agile transformations. So, as a consequence, lack of the North Pole leading to endless debates. So even within Scrum Masters, we had a kind of a part of Scrum Masters who were, okay, we need more self-management, we need to raise their capability, blah, blah, blah. And other Scrum Masters, look, but our management seems like they need something different, you know? And, well, I put it again quite smooth way. It was more debates and stronger words, but yeah. Lack of North Pole. For instance, this is one of the questions. Organizational quick fixes or thinking about long-term implications for the system. What should we go for? This or that? Yeah? No North Pole, we don't know. And, well, what is simpler? What do you think? The first one is simpler, of course. Team's sense of accountability, like shared accountability, versus doing something instead of them. Well, speaking about Scrum Masters or area product owners or even line managers, if you have to choose between something quite difficult, right, like sense of shared accountability, which sounds even unnatural for many, and just going and doing instead of people, yeah? So if they cannot organize, I can do it. Well, I can do it, really. I could do it for sure just this way. I'm just having the skill of organization very well developed. But the point, should I go there, the simple way, or more difficult way? Coordinating versus facilitating. Well, if you know what is the difference, simply saying you help people in terms of, it's a big story. Okay, coordinating versus facilitating. And temporary and part-time assignments to other teams, or genuine travelers. Who knows travelers? What is it? Travelers? Okay, so for you who don't know, this is a practice very useful when some teams lack some expertise about some components or parts of the product or whatever it is. Instead of just sending them people so that they would work there from other teams, taking them and shifting usually. Instead of that, people through volunteering, they understand that there is a lack of neighbor team in terms of experience, and some person from another team can join them temporarily, not for the sake of just delivering, but for the sake of educating, sort of, so that essentially this effort that they spent is not just to cover the gap right now, because later on it will anyway require you to repeat the same, right? But only to educate. So pair programming is the great opportunity. So you know this stuff, you sit together with the guy or guys who don't know, and you develop together. So this is travelers. But the easiest way is just to take a guy, send him for a couple of sprints, done, okay, go back. Again happening, okay, another guy, go there for a couple of sprints, get better. Okay, maybe not couple of sprints, couple of months or half a year. Anyways, all right. And another question, abandon or follow less rules and principles. So, again, look, who cares? But ultimately, this question raises, do we need those rules and principles at all? So, lack of focus on optimization goals. Back to Larman's laws of organizational behavior. Organizations are implicitly optimized to avoid changing the status quo of middle and first level manager, blah, 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 positions and power structures. Any change initiative will be derided as purist, theoretical, revolutionary, religion, and needing pragmatic customization for local concerns, which deflects from addressing weaknesses and measure specialist status quo. So, why I'm putting so many words here? Just because I want to say that exactly this I see in almost every company, almost every. And the XYZ, right? XYZ group was not an exclusion from that. Yet, the reality was this. So again, reminder, 5, 6 management layers. Larman's laws worked quite apparently. This is something that before that I heard, but here it was quite strong. So this works. So Larman puts it theoretical, revolutionary, religion, blah, blah, blah. I found out a little bit new compared to the previous one. Our organization is unique. What works one way in other organizations work another way in our organization. So we need to be pragmatic and customize, agile to fit us better. Okay, what I want to say for this. So imagine that this is a unicorn. Well, this is a unicorn, right? And imagine that this unicorn is unique for sure. There's no one another unicorn in the entire universe like this one. And imagine that this tree is in the way of this unicorn. And unicorn wants to be the first one, to be as fast as possible. And he says, look, I'm so unique that I can run just through this tree. Okay. He tries. Nah, it did not work. Okay. But there's another unique unicorn. So as you can see, this is even more unique than the previous one. And he tries the same, another one, the same. What I tried to say. Each unicorn is definitely unique, for sure. So they're unique in terms of their capabilities, in terms of their speed, colors, even how nice they are maybe, or attractive, I don't know. But the laws of physics are the same. No unicorns were harmed, of course. The point of this is the following. The deeper is the management structure, the more apparent the manifestation of the laws of organizational behavior. They exist always, but in some organizations you probably may not notice, especially speaking about smaller organizations. But they anyways exist and they work exactly this way. This is because these laws are based on the human nature. And they are stronger in terms of their impact. And again, 5, 6 layers of management structure. Okay? All right. Now, who knows the concept of team dysfunctions? Who read the book, The 5 Dysfunctions of a Team? Okay. All right. Cool. But anyways, I took this model as one of the most basic available and simple and easy to understand. You can use another model if you want. What I noticed in this organization. So speaking about the bottom of this pyramid, there was for sure a sense of absence of trust. I'm not speaking about teams themselves, because quite many teams were quite close-knit and very well connected between people. Yet sometimes I also noticed that because some teams had team members who previously were managers of other team members. In some cases, some team members were on the level of management. So who knows the German, these hierarchical structures, then you can imagine that at some point you reach the selling and either you go to the management contract, something like that, or you stay as just a worker. And on the management layer, you are a little bit different compared to others, because other managers listen to you much more, and you influence, and this is important, you influence their careers, their salaries, etc., through giving feedback about them. So if manager listens to just a worker and a worker at the management level, the last one wins in terms of his opinion. This is just on average. Of course, everyone is different, every manager is different, but on average. So your mistakes can be turned against you. Essentially, it existed, But most importantly, I would say that it existed between teams. There was, I would not say that it was a sort of competition sometimes, but it was like not really good relationships between teams, and they were reluctant of going for conflict. You can endanger your relationships with people, or for instance teams, if you go for a conflict with them. Well, conflict, what I mean conflict, just disagreeing with them, yeah, with their opinion, and entering the kind of conversation, debate about this topic. It is also unwise actually to disagree with those who influence your salary and careers. So this is about that case that I explained, and also this is about how people could go into the conflict with management, who is actually expected to help them, right? So if manager says, then yeah, what conflict? No conflict, just do it. Lack of commitment. When, again, mostly this is not about within teams, but between teams. And we are speaking about LeSS, which is scaled Scrum, and this is where teams together produce something. So teams have shared accountability for the increment. And the relationships between teams are not less important even than the relationships within teams. So here, quite a lot of cases when some team was not part of the discussion or was part of the discussion but disagreed, and just by majority teams agreed that, yeah, okay, we go this way, silently maybe in most cases silently, but there would not be expectation that this team would support with all their passion, if you want, this decision. And they did not in many cases. So lack of commitment, avoidance of accountability. Well, again, the story about the people who influence your salary and careers, yeah, I would not go for holding them accountable. Well, I tried, but it was not a good idea. They even might start, yeah, so if you don't want that others hold accountable you, then you do not try to hold accountable them. Finally, and this is the pivotal point here, because exactly at this level of this pyramid, I believe, exists the most important stuff. People cared. I am absolutely sure that people cared about this product. Everyone. Because it's so amazing that you are doing something for future, and you are working with so attractive technical challenges, you know. It's great. But you're caring about your individual interests more. So this is what I'm trying to say. Sometimes people misunderstand this point that inattention to results means that people don't really care about our common goals. They care, but how much they care? So if you have a conflict between your individual interests and the interests of the requirement area within the less huge, what will you choose? This is the point. And the choice quite sometimes was in favor of individual interests. I will give you one example. And I would say that it was not once, but sometimes. As I said, developers, well, you know, I was a developer at the beginning, and I considered technical challenges as the most attractive for me at work, because it's great, I did it, you know. And quite many developers in this organization, of course, came here because they wanted to deal with these technical challenges. Now imagine that this is still a product, and this is a product not in the maintenance, but in the active development. Sometimes it does not mean that you need to go the difficult way. You need to find a simple way to deliver something really simple way, organized, with simple architecture, just to try it out. Yet, in LeSS, this is very important, that in LeSS, sort of requirements or the product backlog items are proposed by teams to the product owner, in less huge to the area product owner. So essentially the whole backlog of the area is comprised of the items which are proposed by teams. And now here you have teams, and some people of these teams, I'm not saying that this is all people, right? But some people really put their individual interest over the whole success. Maybe even they don't understand this. Maybe this is just subconscious. But they go for the difficult way. So they have choice. Okay, this is the simple way. Maybe it's needed for the department. But here I can learn much more. And maybe, a very interesting point, maybe it will be needed for later deadlines. Because, again, this company worked on the contract for the nearest deadline in a couple of years. But for the next deadlines, it will be really needed. I know this. So kind of I'm doing this for the company. Okay, just memorize this for now. Lack of focus on team dysfunctions. Structure drives culture. From my perspective, not directly. You cannot, because culture is kind of, what is it? It's just behavior of people. How, okay, you have a structure and behavior. There's something in between. And this is motivation. And I believe that one of the key points here is not the strengths even of motivation. As I said, in that case, people were very much motivated. Yeah? But the direction of motivated, what you are motivated for. On one side, in terms of structure, on one side, this picture, remember, right? So it was quite complex and many management layers, but I'm not going to go into this direction. Structure is not only the org chart. Structure is also about processes and policies, and for instance, HR policies and practices. As in many, I don't know, maybe in all German corporations, the individual performance evaluation was adopted, and even to some extent mandatory. Of course, it had a tremendous impact on motivation of people. Let's see. First of all, because it put more focus on personal visibility and individual achievements. Put yourself, please try to do it, put yourself on the place of a manager who would have to evaluate performance of the employee, of a developer, for instance, over the last year. Okay, maybe it's half a year, but anyways, it's quite a big time, yeah? How you can do it? If you do not attach to him yourself for the whole this period, yeah, and do not observe what he does every time. The only way is to, of course, you see his or her behavior in some meetings, and you collect these opinions from whom? Of course, from managers, right? Because again, remember that you rely more on the opinion of managers because they're managers. And in order for you as a developer to really get a good assessment mark, and we need to understand that it had implications for your salary, bonuses, career, all this stuff. In order for that, you would need to really show yourself somehow, exactly in that moment when the people who are expected to contribute to this evaluation observe you. When manager is present or when other managers who can give this their opinion to this manager. Visibility and individual achievements, by the way, too, because if you show, okay, this is what I coded, this is one part, yeah, okay, I can evaluate. And another experience of mine, there was one frustration of a developer. I started to try to understand what happened. I could not show my achievements, and my manager just struggled because he could not say anything, whether it is kind of good or bad. And I tried to say, why? He said, look, I told him that I worked in pair with another developer. Then I told him that I worked with a tester. And then I told him that I also contributed kind of a third part of my time into something else. And he said, but where's your stuff? I should, all this is my stuff, yeah? So it's just impossible sometimes. And finally, also, I noticed some political games to win the competition for the promotion. Unfortunately, it was also part of the lack of trust. So on one side, the bottom layers kind of contribute or reinforce the upper layers of this pyramid, but also, and this is for a separate session, I truly believe that if you fix the top layer, then, sometimes people don't want a conflict. They don't trust others. But if they have a goal which is over their own interests, over all the rest, then we'll have conflict for sure, right? So the dominating impact was on the top of this pyramid. Technical excellence is one of the principles of LeSS, and why should I go for some kind of technical excellence if I have some other interests or I have some other directions of my motivation? I'm not saying that there was no technical excellence at all, but some core principles of technical excellence were missing. Okay, individual performance evaluation. We could not remove it because of regulations, and we could not make it having no impact. Unfortunately, that was the idea initially, but it impacted quite a lot, and then we initiated to adapt it somehow, so that instead of a manager evaluating people, people themselves would evaluate themselves. And not based on some achievements like individual stuff, but based on behavioral patterns, and it would be a mutual feedback, not like manager to employee. There was experiment and results were recognized as clearly a success by middle manager who was part of that. However, and we learned that people even didn't know that those behavioral patterns expected from a great team player, they actually are expected, that they're not a bad examples, you know. So people even learn a lot about that. But developers should develop. For you to know that developers should develop, and no go for feedback exchange as it takes time of developers. Well, of course, the attempt to explain that, you know, if you're experienced Scrum Master, you anyways should establish some feedback exchange, and it anyways takes time. Maybe you should not do this because developers should develop. Okay. And this is back again. Don't forget about this. Yeah. Don't forget about this stuff and lack of focus on optimization goals. So all the debates like that and anything else had no common ground, just because management wants something else compared to, for instance, Scrum Masters or even developers. No common grounds. Focus on LeSS principles. Very quickly. Survey we did in 2020. From poor to very poor focus on LeSS principles. This was the collection of feedback from different roles, managers, developers, area product owners, Scrum Masters. My personal observations that LeSS principles were a very weak argument. Okay, but this is inconsistent with LeSS principles. Right, any other arguments? And also optimization goals. And LeSS principles are mostly abandoned. Once more, who cares if it works for a company, right? We are still exploring, did it work for the company? In lean thinking, one of the points from lean thinking is that you probably should not go for changing some practice, which is kind of deemed to be really a good idea to try out, unless you really try it out to the extent where you learn the basics and understand its subtle points. So because of violation of LeSS principles from the very beginning, unfortunately, first of all, there was hiding of the real problem, yeah, and also okay, and also people were deprived the chance to master the basics. Okay, so okay, I will skip it because we have a lack of time. There were a lot of consequences. Okay, I'm accelerating. I got the point. Finally, more with less. Defining a new role means these responsibilities are removed from somewhere else. More roles lead to less responsible teams. February 2020, boom, 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 boom. These are the new roles within teams, just to explain. I'm not going into details. Yes, the component guard, the release manager, the problem manager, topic driver, sorry, but it was toxic. The function owner. For sure. Yeah, and consequences. But again, look, people, to me personally, okay, if this works, consequences. This is not my role and not my responsibility. My responsibility is this task, because we have a lot of other people who take care about all the rest. And of course, these dysfunctions. Just a second, I'm finishing. So, Scrum Master, another new function of a Scrum Master, kind of new type of a Scrum Master was invented. Focus Scrum Master, just for people who do not know really the details, Focus Scrum Master. So what is this about? This is a combination of developer and Scrum Master, but Scrum Master is partially because Scrum Master's activities only on the team level, therefore no activities in the requirement areas or organizational context. Okay? So, consequences. Lack of unbiased view on the team dynamics because you are part of these dynamics. Lack of unbiased view on the team APO or cross-team collaboration, again, because you are part of that. Lack of focus on Scrum Master purpose under pressure to deliver, and pressure exists, of course. So if you are under pressure, Scrum Master, what is that? Lack of impact on team dysfunctions because you don't have exposure on the level of area or organizational level. And the same, behaviors are impacted. Finally, area product owners. July 2020, new responsibilities, technical solution, and managing the cross-team coordination during the sprint. Yeah. So this is to say that consequences existed for sure because APO became again because I did not tell you about that, but a bottleneck, even less time of APO for customer value focus, rapidly dropping sense of team's ownership, because APO is responsible for technical solution, the same, okay. So now we reached the point where we can make a conclusion about all this. Was it close to absolute? Opinions?
Not really.
At the end of this observation, not really, okay. Full potential. Was it better than 1.5 years ago? So what was that? Was it good or bad? Again, no good or bad because consistent or inconsistent. These are the optimization goals. A huge delay was discovered in terms of compare the estimate, the initial estimate, because there was a contract again, right? So they estimated some scope to be delivered by the deadline, and then understood that there was 1 year or 1.5 years, something like this, delay of delivering this scope. Look, if you put it this way, I would say, so what? I would expect that because this is the nature of so innovative development. However, there was this thing. While making a significant progress for later deadlines. So this includes quite kind of mistakes in terms of organization, the areas, because one area worked exactly for later deadlines, the whole area, but also the people, as I told you, right? Sometimes they thought, okay, but it will be needed later on, so I should go deeper and further in these equations instead of going simpler. Ability to learn faster than competitors, I don't know how they wanted to manage this, but yeah, I have no data. Easily adaptable organization to ensure 1 and 2. Strong team dysfunctions, really strong. And I must say that at scale, the understanding of this, for me personally, it was so amazing because I did not need to even go and really deep inside this. It's just here, I feel it, yeah? I must say that at scale, you must pay attention to this. Over-specialized teams, sub-teams, and individuals. Over-specialized, we started with good examples. Unfortunately, those good examples dropped in their number, and they disappeared almost. Team-wise priorities over area or product priorities. Low-quality feedback loop from the bottom to upper management, etc. Oh, sorry, yeah, if you want to make a picture. Okay, so finally, my suggestion, clearly summary of all of this. Only if, and this is the very important point, only if you upper management, if you are looking right now into this presentation, want to unfold the full potential of your whatever agile journey you go into, right? But if you keep in mind that the adaptiveness for value maximization is the most important for you, and with that you have a lack of experience in managing organization toward it, then first of all, you should think about acquiring this knowledge and expertise, And one of the great options is to have the organizational coaching provided by people with real experience in that, including teaching, mentoring, mirror holding, professional coaching, facilitation, all this stuff. This will enable you, upper management, in proper understanding of the tremendous proper understanding of the tremendous experience of other companies. It exists already, you're lucky, you can get it. Establishing a high quality feedback from their own organizational system, from your own organizational system. Choosing a closer to optimal product owner, very important. Ensuring the top priority of optimization goals for everyone, not only for you, but for all your managers, if you are still with many management layers. Understanding the why and how about the plain management structure. How is very important too, because it's not that straightforward. Ensuring that eradication of team dysfunctions has a critical priority. Removing or at least properly adapting the individual performance evaluation, whatever it stands. I know that in Germany it's quite difficult. Keeping focus on less principles, and instead of just hiding the real problems by introducing more rules. And finally, don't forget that this is not all you need. Yeah? Not enough, yet essential to maximize the chance to succeed. Thank you very much. So time's definitely over, even 6 minutes ago, right? Yeah. But if anyone has any questions, I'm open, so I can stay here and I can answer your questions if you have ones.
I have one.
Yeah, please.
It feels a bit that this is not only about let's use this would have happened maybe in normal
would have.
but it got amplified, so to say, because of the sheer
Yeah, at scale it amplifies. But the, the key point is that if you work with a smaller scale, you actually have this all. I mean, okay, to some extent maybe, but speaking about the culture, because it was all about the culture eaten by the structure. It always happens, but the question is, what is the outcome of eating this culture? What will be the result of what will be the resulted culture? It can be full of dysfunctions, and you even may not notice, because at smaller scale, you need expertise to learn and really go deeper into this. But when I spoke to managers confirmed that yes, we have that. So it was that much apparent at scale. So this is it. But don't be surprised that even at small scale, it exists anyways. So you must pay attention to that. Not that much apparent, probably. This is it. Okay. Other questions? All right. Well,
thank you.
Yeah.
For me, it was mind-blowing because we are a supplier of this company.
XYZ, really?
Yeah, I think,
Okay.
I guess. I'm not sure.
Okay. Okay.
And we have the same challenges, same problems.
Okay. So you were on the side of those external teams, or just a supplier?
Just as a supplier.
Okay, you're lucky. Okay. No. Let me explain the point. I did not put it into this because when I started my case study, I noticed that it's already 180 sheets of small text. The external teams working with internal teams is great, but when you have this very strict impact from the side of performance systems, for instance, and they are quite different. Yeah. So in your company, should you be the company who work together as a supplier with internal companies, you would have anyways a strong tendency to go into the control game. So that's what happened, because the company has its focus on achieving something themselves, Of course, we are kind of contributing to the overall this goal, but we have still our own goal. And this is quite hard, because when you look deeper into this, the root causes of that are not in the point that people don't want it. The system drives them in that direction. The system is exactly the system of this one organization, I mean the supplier or external company, from which they give teams to work with internals, and this XYZ group, right? And even should their cultures look similar, but they try to achieve something different. And when an external developer speaks to the manager and tries to say, okay, during this year I achieved that, I communicated and I contributed and blah, blah, okay, speaking about our goals, what do you can say? And our goals are these ones. And by the way, what about your individual achievements, of course? So even if in this company would be possible to somehow adapt the individual evaluation system so that it would not be that much dramatically impacting the behaviors of people, then still would be the question what to do with externals, because they are still on their, on their systems. And this is a very big problem. Additionally, amplified by the point about, I don't remember how this German word explains that there's a requirement to put aside the teams of internals, externals. They cannot really that tightly collaborate together because of preventing some fraud from taxes perspective. I don't remember this stuff. Scheiße, yes. So this stuff existed, and I believe that the purpose of this regulation is very reasonable. But when it comes to really achieving common goals by people from different companies, look, it's kind of a showstopper if you want, if we can't find some workaround for that. But I did not reach that, because even within this company it was impossible to change anything with individual performance evaluation. Okay? Other questions? Okay. If any questions, find me and we can catch up on this.